We begin with our top story. The president taking on the corrupt FBI leadership over its use of the discredited dossier, which was meant to smear Donald Trump during the 2016 campaign. And the president appears to be winning on that. President Trump tweeting this morning that the dossier has proven to be, quote, a pile of garbage after the Washington Times reported that FBI agents could not verify any of the many outrageous and salacious details in the document, backed, by the way, and funded by Democrats and the Hillary Clinton campaign. In the meantime, the deputy FBI director at the center of the controversy over collusion between the Democrats and the Bureau is reportedly running out the clock. Really? He's hoping to hold on to his position until March, when he can retire from the FBI with full benefits paid for by you, the taxpayers. And the president's legal team claims the clock is ticking on the special counsel investigation of Trump-Russia ties. Trump attorney Jay Sekulow telling the Wall Street Journal he expects Robert Mueller's probe to be over soon, although he would not provide a specific date. Joining me now to talk about all of this, Chris Farrell, Director of Investigations and Research for Judicial Watch. Chris, good to see you. The president's tweet was an understatement. It's more than a pile of garbage, but, you know, we probably have kids watching, so I won't say what it really is.
Keep it clean.
But don't you think that the FBI, of all agencies, of anybody, would want to verify at least some of it before they use it as a pretext to launch a federal criminal investigation into Trump-Russian collusion? Because before the dossier, there wasn't a scintilla of evidence of it.
Failure to do so is criminal negligence on the part of those persons who then advance the manufactured dossier to use it, you know, as leverage for FISA warrants. But, you know, in your intro, you talked about some of the cast of characters involved. McCabe needs a waiver, according to my understanding, to get to the March retirement date. I don't think he's actually eligible to retire until a little after that. So his retirement and all the benefits that flow from it can all be administratively held. And I would recommend very strongly to the FBI director and the attorney general that any sort of retirement or any benefits that might accrue to him all be held in suspension until this entire matter is cleared up. Just like, you know, there's a similar instance where another very senior FBI agent, I think, read the handwriting on the wall and bailed out of this whole thing, and then found himself a very cushy job as a senior vice president for a major hotel chain in this country.
Right.
That individual, whose name I will withhold for the moment, but maybe later on we can talk about it.
Right.
That particular agent who's working for this hotel chain and driving a brand new Jaguar, he should be subpoenaed and called in. And frankly, the GS-13 journeyman level street agents who worked for McCabe and for Strzok, they should be called in to testify, because they're not going to lie and perjure themselves for their bosses.
Shouldn't all of these guys, if they're planning to vanish into retirement with full pension benefits paid for by taxpayers, shouldn't that all be held in abeyance until it's finally determined whether or not they should face criminal charges for things like filing a phony affidavit in support of a warrant to spy, or whether they were participating in obstruction of justice in clearing Hillary Clinton and targeting Donald Trump? I mean, those, as you and I have talked before, those are potential crimes.
Exactly, and these are measures that can be taken administratively. Look, if they run their investigation, whether it takes 6 months or 3 years, and they decide, you know what, we cleared you, you were just a unfortunate bystander, well then fine, they get all their pay and benefits, even if it's backdated. That's great. But this person, or these persons plural, should not collect a dime if they've been engaged in misconduct and attempting to overturn or thwart the election of the president.
You know, there are two reports that I'm looking forward to. One is the Inspector General of the Department of Justice, who's looking into alleged wrongdoing by people like James Comey, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, maybe McCabe, guys like James Rubicki, James Baker, and Baker has since been reassigned. All of these guys are FBI players in the exoneration of Hillary Clinton, notwithstanding compelling evidence she violated the law. So when you hear that Devin Nunes is now talking with fellow members of the Intelligence Committee about issuing a report on FBI corruption, that'd be a long report, in my judgment. How about yours?
It would be. The only problem is the Inspector General's Office of the Department of Justice is utterly gutless. And I'll name names. The Assistant Inspector General, a guy named Dan Beckhard, sat on criminal misconduct of federal agents and state and municipal law enforcement officers in El Paso, Texas. I know this firsthand. I'm not guessing at it. I've looked at this case for over 6 years. And so there's people like Beckhart running around.
Well,
he's the deputy.
Right.
You have to hope that Horowitz has enough guts to do the right thing.
It sounds like he may. So you've got Horowitz's report, which is supposed to come out in the next couple of months.
Maybe.
And there's pretty good evidence the Intelligence Committee will be coming out with a report as well, and maybe a separate report on FBI corruption. So, I mean, there is some hope for those who feel as though this entire thing was rigged, rigging it, fixing it so Hillary Clinton was absolved, and launching an investigation of Trump with no evidence.
Yeah, I would temper everyone's expectations. Look, many, not all, but many inspectors general are really the Department of cover-ups, all right? Their attempt is to constrain and minimize wrongdoing by the agency that they're inspecting. And so while I'm hopeful, I'm forever hopeful, but I'm also a realist. And I've seen these guys in action before. And if you expect some hard-hitting thing that can be turned around into an indictment, don't bet the farm on it.
I agree entirely, and that is the history of inspector generals. However, the fact that Horowitz obtained 10,000 of these text messages between Strzok and Lisa Page and revealed some of them, which are quite incriminating, anti-Trump messages, complimentary messages of Hillary Clinton, while these two are involved in both investigations, that does give rise to some measure of hope.
It does. It's just that, okay, we have those two, and they can be kind of strung up as piñatas for everyone to point at. But I think it goes deeper and further than even that.
All right. Chris Farrell, got to leave it at that. Good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Greg.